Good morning. My name is Miguel Molina Cosculluela. I'm the founder of Analyticos. Analyticos is a company solely focused on analytics for education. So the next frontier for the educational sector is to be able to personalize education. And in particular, I'm going to talk today about personalizing the student experience through learning analytics. As we all know, the world turned upside down a couple of years ago, not only for education, but for many sectors, government, politics, CPG, retail. And even though this situation was horrible from many perspectives, from the AI perspective for education, we could not have a better scenario. As you all know, artificial intelligence and analytics thrives on large volumes of data. A couple of years ago, it would have been impossible to imagine all the signals that we have today about how students learn. So using all these digital footprints and digital signals that the students are leaving behind has empowered us for learning analytics use cases, for learner analytics use cases. I'm going to spend 1 minute telling you about Analyticos, and so you'll have a little bit more of context. At our company, we have the mindset of being able to support educational institutions, personalizing education. And that could be personalizing the experience, personalizing the content, personalizing the interventions. We have customers in over 15 countries, and our team is composed of education specialists, mathematicians, data engineers. HolonIQ in 2020 named us one of the top 100 edtechs in LATAM. We've been and they were finalists. 2017, we won the Global EdTech Startup Awards for Latin America, and we are an open education analytics advanced partner for Microsoft. One of the main challenges, as I just discussed, for education is to being able to personalize the teaching learning experience and process. We think about any other sector, entertainment, retail, CPG, even financial services, there have been many advancements towards personalizing the experience. In the case of analytics and education, the opportunity is massive today. So why should we talk about the student experience? And as HolonIQ calls it, the heart of the student's life cycle. HolonIQ, couple of years ago, they put together a digital capabilities framework, something of what you're seeing today in the screen. One of the key pillars is the learning experience. One out of the 4 key pillars for institutions is learning experience. And every year, just a couple of months ago, they released the results from the annual survey and annual insights. And this covers pretty much the whole Earth. Every continent is covered in this survey. And there are in particular 2 insights that I found quite relevant. The first one has to do with how clear it is for institutions today that they need to ensure high quality student experience. And the second one is, it is clear this is where the biggest gap exists today between their priority and their current capability. If you're interested in knowing more about this annual insight survey, you have the QR code on the bottom right of your screen. Imagine for just a second, if you could deduce, understand, if you could make an interpretation of how a student is learning through all the different signals that they are leaving behind. It could be the LMS, it could be Microsoft Teams, it could be Google Classroom. It doesn't really matter. All these signals tell you about how a student is learning. And once you understand those signals, imagine if you could send personalized messages to improve satisfaction, to improve performance, to improve retention. Well, this is the solution that I want to share with you today. It's a learning analytics solution. We call it Portrait. And if you were to think about what it does, it's quite simple. Number one, it understands how the students are learning. Number two, it sends personalized nudges and messages. And of course, that has an impact on student satisfaction and student success. One success study case that we've worked together with a university, it's with the UDLA out of Ecuador. And if you want to know more about the case, there's the QR code on the bottom right. Udla wanted to use an innovative approach to personalize not only the content, but the experience. And how were they able to accomplish this? I'm going to describe it quite briefly. So how portrait works. So there are two big moments when describing portrait. The first one is, let's understand how a student learns. And there are 16 building blocks that I'm going to explain on a second. Once I have this portrait, then we enable two bots. The first one we call Emilia. She's a learning counselor. She's very concerned about the student well-being. And once she understands the areas of opportunities, she's going to send personalized messages through the student to start this dialogue. And there's also Max. Max doesn't really care about the student well-being, is way more transactional, but Max does not want you to miss a single assignment, does not want you to miss a single submission. So he's going to be on top of you. Miguel, remember that Friday at noon is the deadline for you to deliver XYZ. So let's talk about Emilia for just a second. So there's a framework behind Emilia and how Emilia is empowered to send these personalized messages. We put together this framework with four areas: executive functions, social skills, willingness to learn, and achievement. All the data is coming pretty much from the LMS, from Microsoft Teams, and even from some standardized screeners that help us understand way more on the learning styles, for instance. Once Emilia has the capability of understanding how a student is learning, she has knowledge base of thousands of messages that she's going to use to personalize a journey for each student with areas of opportunity, or even for areas that Emilia wants to reinforce. And I'll give you a couple of examples in just a second. How do these messages look like? So here's an example, and here's the tip of the day. Miguel, understand your social fears. Social fears such as shyness or social anxiety deprive us of many opportunities. To overcome and leave them behind, it is important for you to understand their origin. This is the sort of messages, very personal messages, simple, attractive, that arrive at the right time through multiple channels. And then there is Max. Max integrates operational information that is relevant for students. And the area where Max is mostly focused is on executive functions, time management. Miguel, as you have a deadline today at 11:59 p.m., the last assignment of your math course, Math 101, needs to be delivered. Also remember that you need to return the book to the library, and so on and so forth. Before I jump to some final ideas, I want to share with you a brief demo. Jump into this screen. Um, this is information regarding a particular student. Of course, the information that I'm sharing with you right now is fictional. This student, again, always the 16 building blocks. Now we can see them not as specific numbers, but rather a range on teamwork, self-initiation, self-control, organizational planning skills, extroversion, empathy, resilience, optimism, and so on and so forth. So now I have this framework of the student. And this particular student always remember the four pillars: achievement, willingness to learn, social skills, and executive functions. And I can see areas of opportunity where Emilia might want to target this particular student with specific messages. Not only I have an opportunity to understand a particular student, but also as faculty, I can understand way more about a particular group, a particular course. And again, the information that I'm sharing right here is fictional, or it's just for demo purposes. But this Jorge Arturo, he's a professor. He has 84 students, two courses, and we can see the 16 building blocks that are going to empower Emilia. We can see them here. And so we can understand how different groups are mixed or gravitate. And if I'm a teacher and I understand a particular level of willingness to learn, a particular level of planning skills, I can actually customize now my course according to that particular group. And so Emilia is sending these nudges to the students, but also Emilia could be empowered to send messages to professors, to faculty, in order to empower them with certain skills that Emilia believes should give additional superpowers to this faculty, given a particular cohort, a particular group. So I'm gonna make here a couple of filters just to understand if it is different to see my one team versus the other team. Of course, I can see for one particular, instead of team group, if I can see a particular visual style or auditive style in terms of the learning styles. So if I have a group that leans completely for kinesthetic style, my classes, kids need to be participating. And if I just stand up and deliver a lecture, it might not resonate as much with the particular characteristics of that group. So over the last 3 minutes, I want to share with you some conclusions and open a little bit of a space for a Q&A. We believe the analytical opportunity today is perfect. We have not seen ever processing as cheap as it is today, storage capabilities as we have them today. It would have been a dream for a university, a top university, 5 years ago, to be able to just click, 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 and enable the cloud the way we can enable it today. And the first one, but I wanted to close with this one, is the promise of creating personal content, creating a personal experience to maximize the student engagement will only be achieved by the institutions that adopt artificial intelligence. Otherwise, it's impossible to understand all the different patterns that the students are leaving behind. So hopefully you found this information useful. Let's connect. Let's continue the conversation. Here's my LinkedIn. Here's also my email. If you have any questions, if you would like to explore a pilot, if you would like to understand more about this framework and how could we support students and how could we enable institutions on this creating education more personal journey, please let me know.